This is going to be my first introduction to Warrior on Astellia Online. This guide will go over skills, tooltips, and customization effects on each skill. Without further ado, let's get started. This is your basic level 1 skill. It grants 1 tenacity upon landing. Keep in mind that this skill will only give you tenacity if it lands. If you miss, it does not. There are 2 options for this one: reduce cooldown and power increase. Both of these are useful. Cooldown reduction, reducing it beneath 9 seconds. Chain Impale. This is your second basic skill gained at level 1. It is a 3-part skill. It has the ability to add brandish on your target. It also grants 1 tenacity when it successfully lands. If you miss, it does not accumulate. Brandish is a debuff that is applied to increase the damage of other skills. Piercing Strike. This is your first real damage dealing skill, gained at level 2. The next version does not unlock until level 10. By building up tenacity or using Piercing Strike on an impaled target, you can increase your damage. This is a single target skill and can get very deadly in the right hands. The first hit of this skill stiffens, and the second hit inflicts additional damage to targets affected by impale. Shield Blitz. The skill is unlocked at level 3. It combines a long distance charge with a knockdown when you use 2 tenacity. The skill customization on this includes reduced cooldown, power increase, and status accuracy. Reduced cooldown can allow quicker charge times for PvP, and the status accuracy will boost CC chances. Shatter. The skill is gained at level 4. It is a close range skill, decent damage, and causes extra damage to targets that are knocked down or in the faint state. Reducing the cooldown, the maximum will drop it below 9 seconds. I don't use this as much as I should, other than for filler damage. Sonic Blade. This skill is gained at level 5. It is a long distance attack with a 20-meter range. It also increases your threat level with a 5-second cooldown. It does not have customization options, however. Flurry. Gained at level 5 and the final stage at level 7. It becomes a main arsenal in your skill set. This skill has a 6-meter range and after activating will gap close to targets. On top of that, it has a small frontal cone AoE. The second and third stages use the AoE, causing the debuff slash on your targets. After a successful hit, it grants 1 tenacity. The slash debuff can be used with Whirlwind to cause additional damage. Whirlwind. Gained at level 8, this is your first dedicated AoE. It has high attack damage, benefits from shield block, and does damage in a full circle. Targets that have the slash debuff will receive more damage from the skill. The downside of Whirlwind is while using the skill, you lose some of your mobility and will be slower. Luckily, you can dodge roll to break the casting of it though. Soul Restore. The skill restores MP continuously during combat at the cost of 2 tenacity. I'd recommend using this skill every time it is up. It will reduce how many potions you chug for mana. Taunt. Gained at level 12, the skill is a single target threat skill. The distance is large, about 20 meters. Maxing out the cooldown reduction will drop it below 10 seconds. Aspect of the Giant. Gained at level 13, this slightly increases your physical and magical defense. This is our party buff and can be used on party expedition members as well as our Estelles. Shackles. Gained at level 14, I cannot explain how much I love this skill. The status accuracy is high, the cooldown is about 30 seconds though. The skill will pull a mob or player towards you within the range of 16 meters, extremely useful for grabbing groups. However, keep in mind that this skill can be resisted just like other CCs in the game. It also shares a cooldown with multi-chain, which I will talk about later. Taunt Roar. Gained at level 15, this skill is a taunt with a frontal cone AoE. The cooldown time is mediocre, about 20 seconds, but can be very useful during PvE. Increasing the cooldown reduction to maximum will drop the cooldown below 15 seconds. Shield Blow. Gained at level 18, this skill can seem underwhelming based on the tooltip. The status hit rate for the stiffen is extremely low compared to other skills, and the stiffen only lasts for 1 second. One good thing about this skill is the low cooldown, which is about 7 seconds and can be used as filler damage between your combos. Savage Kick. Gained around level 20, the skill is amazing for filler damage and semi-gap closer. The skill works from about 6 meters out, but the cooldown is 27 seconds. It has an above average status hit rate and causes knockdown if it lands. Maxing out the cooldown reduction will drop the cooldown below 20 seconds. First Aid. Gained around level 22, this skill is used as an emergency self-heal. It has an extremely long cooldown of 10 minutes, but instantly heals your HP based on your tenacity. It has the option for reducing cooldown and increasing the power, or the heal amount. This one comes down to the user itself. It can be a lifesaver during PvP, but you are limited on skill points. Overpower. Gained at level 24. I love this skill. It leaps towards the target about 16 meters, for a perfect gap closer. The damage increases if the target is in the stun or faint state and has high damage, especially on critical hits. Using one tenacity will increase the high damage even further. One downside to overpower is that it has a long cooldown, which is about 60 seconds, so comboing into it should be very cautionary. This skill has the option for reducing cooldowns and increasing power. Reducing the cooldown drops it below 45 seconds, whereas increasing the power will give it a significant boost in damage. Rage, gained at level 26. This skill is pretty straightforward. It's a single target threat skill with a range of 20 meters. The cooldown is long, about 50 seconds, but if you are having trouble holding aggro on a boss or an extra mob, this could be really useful. Adamantine Shield, gained at level 28. What is a tank without their shield, am I right? The skill is self-target with a cooldown of 3 seconds, so it is pretty spammable during combat. It summons a big blue shield in front of your character. Good thing about this skill is that it increases your physical and magical defense against skills and damage in front of you. However, the bad thing is you can't use other skills while it's up, but that's pretty normal. So take that in consideration with your aggro meter. Deafening Roar, gained at level 30. This skill is bread and butter aggro. Doesn't specify the range on it, but it is an AoE threat skill. This skill is useful for pulling mobs, pulling aggro off in Astellia, and other great things. It does start with a 28-second cooldown, which is kind of long. The only customization effect that it has is reduced cooldown. Maxing out the cooldown reduction drops the cooldown below 20 seconds. Descent Eruption, gained at level 31. The skill is a close quarters AoE. The benefits of the skill is that it does do high damage when you max out the power increase. Dropping the cooldown effectively drops the cooldown to around 20.5 seconds. However, the downside is the mana cost of it. Compared to our other skills that use 40 to 50 mana per use, this one skill uses 175 MP instantly. For mana management, this can be troublesome. Make sure you use this skill with caution between potions and soul restore. Quake, unlocked at level 35. While this skill does not have impressive damage, the CC on it is very useful. At a 21-second cooldown and 92% knockdown rate, this skill is also an AoE. It does cost one tenacity to cast, so watch your stacks when using it for a combo. Aspect of the Beast, gained at level 39. What can I say? This is a pretty straightforward skill. When you're in a CC, PvE, or PvP, you can cast this skill to remove the effects. This adds extra levels of counterplay during PvP and has a 27-second cooldown. Adamantium Armor, gained at level 41. The skill is really useful when you realize you are taking a lot of damage in a short period of time. It increases your physical and magical defense and stacks on top of our party buff, Aspect of the Giant. The downside of this skill is that it has a 10-minute cooldown and only lasts for 20 seconds when you cast it. You can reduce the cooldown or increase the amount of defense that it gives you, your choice. Share Pain, gained at level 44. This skill has a 20-meter range and can be casted on an ally or Estelle. It reduces damage taken for 10 seconds by splitting damage between the caster and the target. This can be very useful if you see your healer or DPS dying during dungeons. The downside is that it has a 45-second cooldown and has no options to reduce the cooldown for PvE. Shockwave, gained at level 47. The skill has a 10-meter range and uses an AoE, mostly frontal, on targets. The skill is best used when a target is already knocked down or in the faint status. The damage on it is average and costs 2 tenacity to inflict additional damage with this skill. Multi-chain, gained at level 50, our final skill. Yes, this skill is similar to Shackles mentioned earlier. Both skills share a cooldown. Unlike Shackles though, this is an AoE pull with a 60-second cooldown. It can be very useful in both PvE and PvP. The status hit rate on it is pretty high, so it's rare that it gets resisted, but it does happen. And that is it for my Warrior introduction guide. I hope I was able to explain everything, and please leave feedback for anything you would like to see in the future or anything that I can explain better on in another video.